There was something else up on the screen. Hang on. Oh God, as we express our creativity in creating in miniature the world around us, may we marvel at the beauty and genius which created the world and instilled in us a portion of your great knowledge and wisdom. Give success to the work of our hands, O God. Amen.
Thank you, Father Ron. I appreciate it so much. And appreciate you taking the extra effort to be here with us this evening. Now I'd like to turn to some announcements before we really get started. I want to talk about our Saturday scratch building workshop. It's every Saturday at 1 p.m. Eastern time. It's run by Chris Blackmar. And I hope that you'll tune in and find out some scratch building items of help for you. I think it's the most creative part of our hobby and something that you'll really enjoy if you just give it a try. Don't be worried about you never having done it before. I promise you it's easier than you think it is. We also have a new show on Thursday evening every second week called Modeling Lifestyle. And this show seeks to spotlight modelers who in this part of the 21st century are really making a difference to our hobby and something that someone that we really need to recognize and hopefully get to know a little bit, because they are the leaders, as far as I know, in our hobby right now, and I can't thank them enough for wanting to be on this new show with us. Pat, if you could run the video for that show, I appreciate it.
Which one is that, Jim?
Modeling Lifestyles.
Okay, just a moment.
No sound, Pat.
Pat, let's just skip this and not worry about it. Thank you so much. If you could just come back and spotlight me. Thank you.
Boy, oh boy, oh boy. Go ahead, Jim.
If you could spotlight me, I would appreciate it.
You're spotlighted.
You are spotlighted, Jim.
And muted.
Okay, is that better?
Yes.
Okay. So I assume everybody but me can see myself. Is that right?
We can
Correct.
see you.
Yep.
Okay, fine. Thank you. Where was I? All right. Anyway, the lifestyle show starts tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Eastern time. You can only see it on YouTube. So you need to go to our website, New Tracks Modeling. Not website. You need to go to our YouTube channel, New Tracks Modeling, and subscribe, ring the bell, and then you'll be able to see the shows and participate live with us through the chat function on those shows. We have build-alongs coming up. We have one starting on July the 13th. It's a CAD presentation by Earl Hackett. And this is something that I know there's a lot of interest in. Are you going to show the chart for this, Pat, or not?
We'll give it a shot. Just a second. Go ahead. Keep talking.
And I'd like Earl to talk to us a little bit, because last week Earl came on and gave an overview of what's going to be involved and how he's going to approach teaching, how to do the CAD part of this, how to do the printing part of this, and then actually building the model. So Earl, if you could say a few words, I'd appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm here. Really, when we get into actually building the model, well, what's that? It's going to be, it can get pretty intense. There's a lot of activity, a lot of commands are flying around, and there's no way you're going to be able to actually do it in real time with me, but you want to sit down and watch how it's done, get a good grasp of what I'm doing. And to do that, you really have to understand the tools that I'm working with. So if you haven't had a chance to get a sign up with Onshape, get an account, go back and look at that June 8th introduction and practice on those tools, because when I start making parts, things go very, very, very quickly, and you have to recognize what tools I'm using. And I'll mention them, but you have to understand when you see the effects on the screen, you really need to know what I did. And if you have practiced with those tools, it'll be pretty obvious. So, okay, Jim, back to you.
And Earl, when the people go back and review that program that's on our YouTube site as a separate video. In other words, you can just go to that separate video of Earl last week, and you have outlined what those tools are that they need to concentrate on. Am I right?
That's correct.
So if you'll just concentrate only on those tools, then you'll be able to understand in detail what Earl is doing as he actually builds each one of the parts for the model on a CAD program. But having a basic understanding of each one of those tools is going to help you immensely try to keep track of what Earl is doing and understand how you can do it yourself.
Yeah, when we get done with this series, you will, if you understood all the tools on that site, you could build a Queen Anne's chair. With the tools that we're going to be working with, you can build a pretty nice picnic table. If you're a carpenter, that's a good understand. And you'll be able to build just about any architectural structure you can want.
And what's the name of the program they need to download?
No downloads at all. It is the website is Onshape, ON_SHAPE. It's everything is run through your web browser. You know, if you use Chrome or Firefox, I've never seen anything else like it. So it really stands alone in that respect. And it's free. And if you want to sell the parts from the drawings that you make, it's not a problem. They don't have any problem with that at all.
Okay, Earl, thanks so much. I'm really looking forward to this. I know a lot of people are interested in it. So we'll have you back on next week and make any additional comments you think you need then.
Okay, take care now.
Thank you. Then starting July the 23rd, you'll hear more about this tonight. Paul Egret, the designer, and David Rarick and Father Ron are going to build a card model of a service station. And as of tonight, you'll be able to download that service station off of our website. Our website is newtracksmodeling.com in any scale you want to download it in. And it'll be available to you on our website as of tonight. So Pat, let's try one more video here. I'd like to talk about the My Build that's coming up June the 29th. If you could run the 1 minute video for Model Railroad Resource.
Welcome to the world of scale, O&S railroading. We are your resource for all O&S scale modeling. Both our magazines are advertiser supported and free to read online, download as a PDF, or even print. All advertisers are hot linked to their website, so if you see something you like, just click. Please check out our websites for the current issues. All back issues available free for the O-Scale Resource and the S-Scale Resource magazines. And, if you are a manufacturer, distributor, or retail establishment, please contact us through our website for advertising opportunities.
I really appreciate Amy and Dan Daugherty sponsoring this segment of our show. Both of their magazines are goal of their magazines is to try to bring modeling back into model railroad. And being a sponsor of this part of our show certainly shows that dedication. So thanks to both of them. Chris Corse, the owner of Conowingo Models, is the moderator for this part of our shows for us. So Chris, would you like to say something?
Sure, Jim. Hello, everybody. And let me go to the share screen. And we will get to that. There we go. All right. The next My Build is June 29th. Send your photos to railrunner130@hotmail.com and we'll put those in there. Also, if you have not contributed before, please send a photo of yourself so that we can include that with the title page for you. And what you have to contribute doesn't need to be anything special. It could be something, maybe just your latest project or something you're a little stuck on, or something you just found at a train show, or something you found at a garage sale and thought it was kind of neat that is related to the topic at hand. And maybe we can all learn something from it. So anyway, that's what I had, and I'll get back to you, Jim.
That's fantastic. Thanks so much, Chris. I really appreciate all the work that you put in to do this for us. I'd also like to talk tonight about the door prize that we have this evening. One of the companies you're going to be hearing about later, Locofy, has a representative on the show tonight to talk about their latest version of their control system for locomotives in all scales. And they've been on the show before. You've heard them talk about their product, but they have a third generation of the product now. And that's what you'll be hearing about tonight. The door prize is the giving away in a random drawing to one of the viewers who are here tonight, one of their control systems. And it'll be the third generation of their control system, so it will be the most current version that they're producing. If you are on the Zoom show live, or if you are on the live YouTube show, then you're eligible to participate in this drawing. For us to be able to know you are on YouTube, and if you don't do this, we have no way of knowing you're there. And you have to be there to win tonight, either on Zoom or YouTube. You have to go to our New Tracks Modeling YouTube channel and subscribe to the channel, ring the bell, and then wait at least 1 minute and enter something in the chat function. That way we will know that you are actually on YouTube. If you're not a subscriber and try to enter the chat, we won't know who you are. We won't know that you're there. And you could be a bot or somebody that's not human there. So we need you to be a subscriber first. And then after you are a subscriber for at least a minute, then you can enter something, whatever message you want to, in the chat function, and you'll be picked up and become eligible for the drawing. To win the prize, we will announce the winner of the drawing and actually select the winner later in the show, toward the end of the show. And if you're still here with us at that point, when your name is called, you're going to have to respond. If you're live on Zoom, you can respond directly to me. If you're live on YouTube, then you'll have to enter a comment in the chat function, and then send me an email with your contact information, the address that you want the product sent to, and that kind of information, so that we can contact you, your phone number and where you want the product sent, so that we can make sure the company can contact you and get the product delivered. So that's how it works. If you have any questions, speak up at any time and ask them. I'll be announcing this again in the middle of the show, but it's important for everybody to understand the procedure in order to be eligible for the drawing. Now I'd like to start the show by going to Bob Farquhar for our quick tip of the evening. Paul Thompson is still not with us this evening, and Bob has a quick tip for us.
Okay. Okay, guys. So this is about roof ridges ideas. On this first picture here, these type of shingles, the cedar shake shingles, do them along the top here, the ridge. They don't look right in my view. I like doing these type of thing with the paper, folded paper here. This is an example. Use the paper, just spray paint on it, cut a strip off, bend it in half, and then stick it on there. Other examples here, there's another one here done with a ridges type roof. There's tar paper roofing. There's also this idea here, using this raised rib roofing. I cut in on each side of a rib, and you apply them across the top here. Other options are an older type building, use wood pieces angled up to each other. And there's an idea for using a steel rod or brass rod or whatever across the top. So that's it for my quick tip.
Thank you so much, Bob. I appreciate it. And for your information too, starting, I'm not sure when, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, something like that, maybe a month. Gary Suregold, MMR, is going to be presenting us a scratch building quick tip. And I think you're really going to find that interesting. And I really appreciate Gary agreeing to do this, because the quick tips that Paul and Bob and the others that have made over the course of the last couple of years have really become popular, and people, I hope, are benefiting from them, because they're certainly looking at the videos of them that we're posting. So thanks again, Bob. I really do appreciate your work. Now I'd like to turn to Daryl Jacobs. Daryl owns Interaction Hobbies. He hasn't been with us for a while. He was doing a quick 5 minutes on the shows for a while of some of his products, but he's been so busy over the summer, he hasn't been able to be with us for a while. But he's going to be doing a build along with one of his products. And he's here tonight to talk to us about his company and about what this product is that you'll be able to acquire and build along with him on our show. So Daryl, welcome.
Great, thank you. Guys can hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
And I'm going to share a screen with any luck. Should see a pretty scenery there. And, okay, did it work? Am I live?
You're live.
So thanks for having me here tonight. I apologize for not being around this spring too much, but life in the one-to-one world got in the way, but we'll definitely be getting back to our art of detail as soon as we can as well. So the build along that we've selected is Keeger's Garage and Repair in both HO and O scale. And we'll talk about that tonight. First, I want to just kind of mention our company, Interaction Hobbies. We manufacture craftsman kits, vehicles, and details. We've been around since 2011, and we've grown to a full-time business for my wife and myself just over the past few years. So we like to go after more detailed kits and kind of unusual prototypes as well. So we manufacture from our home here up in Turtle Valley, British Columbia. We've got a 1,200 square foot studio space that we built and dedicated to the business, where we've got our 3D printers and laser cutters. And then I've been setting up for vacuum and pressure podcasting as well downstairs. Also just put in a dedicated cutting table for processing sheet goods, because we buy a lot of polyback and what's called laser board. And the recent supply and demand, we've had to buy up to 250 sheets at a time, 4x8 sheets. So it's getting so you got to process a lot of material at once. And then of course we do our 3D print, our color copies of all our manuals that we include as well in-house. So we have a secure online website that you can do your orders for everything at www.interactionhobbies.com. You can see on the right. Everything we have is in stock. We've got about 120 products to date and growing quite regularly. If something is not in stock, next order will trigger building another batch of the products. So we always have our products in stock. We try to get our regular mailings out twice a week, depending what's happening, because we've got to get to town to do that. And whenever you want to get a hold of us, the best way to do it, phone sometimes we're not so good with, but if you just drop us an email for any questions or comments or things you have at sales@inter-action.ca. It's a hyphen there in the middle. So we do have a lot of different structures. You've seen some of these on the show, and some of our guys here have built a few of them. There's a couple of new ones you'll see here in the upper left-hand corner. There's the trailer that you saw us building, and we're coming out with a series of trailers with a lot of little details, right down to the engine block in the front yard that has to go with every redneck trailer that's out there. And then Giordano's is our latest kit that will be coming out with structure-wise. We have a lot of vehicles as well, kits in HO and O scale, and we're going to be adding S scale vehicles in the not too distant future. And we've got quite a few different boats, so we've got quite a few nautical features and pieces and details available as well. And of course, in our Art of Detail series, you've seen a lot of the details that we have. They're very popular, and a lot of times we're trying to get those all out in S, HO, and O scale, and a few of them go out in N scale as well. So tonight I wanted to talk to you about the kit that we've selected and why. Keeger's Repair, and we've affectionately called that after a friend of ours down the road who's got a repair outfit. So that's where we named the kit from, but it's actually originally a prototype of a building that existed out in the 20s that we took a picture that you saw on the front cover. This is the O scale picture showing the kit right now. So the HO scale version is about 3 inches wide by 4 inches long and about 2.5 inches tall. There is an annex as well. You see here in the O scale one on the right-hand side, there's a little shed that can be added wherever you want to put on the building. We chose to put it in this location. Also, the interesting thing, you'll see it's a garage and repair shop, but the awning says confectionery on it. And that's actually in the original picture that's on the front of the kit and the front of the cover of this presentation. So we think that the building was used originally as a confectionery, and then it turned into a garage repair shop, depending on what was needed at the time and kind of as the era goes along. So it's a kind of a multi-duty purpose building. I've seen people build them as bakeries, and we've had a few build them as a confectionery as well. So the O scale version is about 8 inches by 7 inches. And here you can see the HO scale version. So everything you see in the picture is there except the scenery in the kit. And the comparison to the O scale one, basically the same. The difference in the HO and O scale version has double walls, thick walls, so 2 1/16 walls that are glued together. We also make sure that the back of the building is fully detailed, so it looks as good in the front as it does in the back. And it's kind of got an interesting roof line. So I've got a couple of techniques to show on how to do some tar paper and make aged tar paper in the kit. And there's that shed again. The kit also comes in H0 with a simplified interior for the front room. So kind of in doing this build along, kind of give you some techniques on interior building as well as a basic kit, maybe something that's not too complicated for somebody that has not done an interior before. And then lastly, we also include a basic LED lighting kit in it, just an LED strip light. And we'll show us kind of some techniques to put that together as well, so you can figure out how to easily light your interior. That's all included in the kit. So there's the HO and the O scale kits. They're both, one's in a plastic box. For the O scale one's a bit bigger, and the HO scale one is flat packed. What comes inside the kit: full color instructions, graphics, tar paper roofing, various templates and part sheets. And the instructions themselves, I got the wrong link here. It should actually say, if you go to our website at any time, you can download all of our instructions for free there. So you can have a look at these kits and the instructions on it before you purchase something, to see if it's something you want to take on. And then the contents of the kit: some various basswood, laser board or polyback components, the foundation, all the strip wood you need, corbels, 3D printed parts. And we include in that little tube a little 3D printed cat as well, just because we thought that was a cute idea. So some of the suggested tools and supplies that you should look at, you'll hear me talk about it through the build along a lot. I go through a lot of number 11 blades, partly my own doing, but I always find whenever I get frustrated doing something, it's usually because I don't have a sharp blade in my knife. So I always recommend having a lot of number 11 blades along, or extra razor blades. Some tweezers would be good, fine sandpaper or nail files. I really like those double-sided nail files. Masking tape or clear adhesive tape to stick some things while gluing. Any of your favorite white glue, PVA glue. I do prefer the Scotch quick dry adhesive. It's getting harder to find, but it dries very fast and leaves very little residue. It has a great applicator tip, though you can also use the little applicator bottles as well, which I recommend for very good locating and applying of glue in hard to reach places. CA cement is good to have around. Your favorite India ink or stain that you want to do for agents and parts, and acrylic enamel paints. I'll make some recommendations for paint colors right off the bat for you guys a little bit later as well. Paintbrushes, and also a stiff bristle brush. I use a stiff paintbrush has had too much paint in it, but we'll be showing some techniques for roughing up and defuzzing the wood, which is something a lot of times people forget to do when they're building their wood walls, is defuzzing it after they apply the paint and things, so it looks good close up as well as far away. So that's about it. The kit, we're offering a 20% discount on HO 3103 and 3103 and O scale. We do have a flat rate shipping of $12 for all of our products, so anything else you're ordering could be included in the same shipping price. And what you need to do is go to www.interactionhobbies.com, pick either the HO scale or O scale version of Keeger's Garage. There's a code NEWTRACKS during checkout, and the discount will automatically be applied for you guys. And we're keeping this open until July 13th when we start the presentation series. So I think with that, you can find out more about us at our Interactions website. Also check us out on Facebook as Rail and Tie, and our YouTube page of Interaction Hobbies. So that's about it. I think I'll turn it back to you, Jim.
And you're the one that's going to be building this kit.
That's correct. I haven't decided if my lovely Australian assistant will be doing the voiceover or if I will. So it'll depend which keeps you guys awake better. So
I can't wait to meet her.
yeah.
Thanks so much, Daryl. I appreciate it.
Good stuff.
All right. So moving right along, I'd like to introduce Chris Course again of Conowingo Models. Because Chris is building his kit of the Kello trolley station. Chris, welcome.
Thanks, Jim. Back again and go to the share screen again. All right. And then we'll go full screen. All right. This is the last night of the build along of Kello Station. We're doing it in both HO and O scales. And it's not too late to order the kit. Conowingomodels.com. Use the discount code JimHO for the HO scale kit and JimO for the O scale kit. And this offer is not valid on other items. And it is good through tonight. I think the website shuts it off at midnight. But the kit will still be available. It'll just be at a higher price. All right. Oh, crap, it went backwards on me. All right. So tonight is episode 4. It's we're going to cover signage, finishing touches, and details. As a reminder, some parts may look slightly different between the scales and the pilot model, and some illustrations will not look like the instructions due to things that have happened to make the kit better during the initial construction. Believe it or not, this is actually this is going to be the shortest episode, but it will take you the same amount of time as the rest of it has, because the finishing touches and the details are they do take quite a bit of time to get right. We're going to start off with some signage tonight, and the signs and the clock are 3 pieces each. If you notice the diagram on the left side, what you're going to do is you're going to paint the frame first. And then once that is dry, you'll cut the paper sign and then attach it to the base. And you can use Mod Podge for that. Also, white glue works fine. Make sure it's flat and that there's no bubbles. And once the frame is dry, go ahead and glue it to that base. Make sure that the corners are all match up the way that you want them to. And if they don't, you can cut and sand down the edges a little bit and then paint them and then set them aside for now. Next, for finishing touches, you're going to use the CA and glue that wrought iron finial into place. That thing, it's kind of a pain if you're not if you use another glue. But what you want to do is you want to put the ends down first and then kind of work your way towards the middle, put some pressure on that bottom piece to solidify it and get it to glue into place the way you want it to. Next, you want to assemble the sign supports on the O scale kit. The HO scale kit has the sign supports, but they're not in 2 halves. They're only a single piece. And then you can also use, we used Hunterline driftwood to age the sign a little bit, but if you want to use white paint or whatever to do that, it should work out just fine for you. On the details, add the, what you're going to want to do is add that trim, that big A that you see in there. You want to fit that up against the inside good and flush, and make sure that you do that for both ends. And also you want to, you'll add the signs and the clock as you see fit. And that is really it. Again, you can purchase this kit at any time, but in order to get the discount, you're going to need to use Jim HO for the HO scale kit and Jim O for the O scale kit through tonight. After tonight, the price goes back up. So anyway, thanks for listening. Any questions?
It sounds like you may have covered everything, Chris. Thank you so very much. It's a beautiful model.
Thank you, Jim. Oh, let's see here. There's some comments in here.
Okay.
No, it's just a thanks and great kit. Thanks, Alan. So I'll turn it back over to you, Jim.
Okay. Thanks again, Chris. I really do appreciate it.
Sure.
And you so much for producing the models with my name on it. I really appreciate that.
Yes, indeed.
Now I'd like to turn to Bill Banner, who started last week building his ON30 caboose. So Bill, welcome.
Good evening. How are you tonight?
Doing great. Yourself?
Okay. So what we're going to do tonight is we're going to add the siding to the caboose and the end beams. And as you can see, what I've got laid out in front of me, already got everything colored and ready to go. And what I did was I used a thin wash of grimy black from True Color. I'll get it on the screen here. And I thin this down with acetone to a reasonable weathered looking black, grayish black, and brush it on. And I did the same thing with some Denver and Rio Grande Boxcar Red to get the red color. So the next step is we're going to put the platforms in place. And what I do is in the instructions, I use a lot of spray adhesive. So we'll do this one real quick. Let me just raise it up right there. I'm using Super 77.
Where do you get that, Bill?
Some of the hobby shops will carry something similar. I get mine from McMaster Car, which is a hardware supply company online.
I'm sorry, I missed it. From where?
McMaster Car.
McMaster?
Yeah. You can get it at the hobby store. Home Depot's got it. Lowe's, I'm sure, has it.
Okay.
So some of the
I've never used it before. Are there any tricks with it?
you just want to put plenty on. You read the instructions on the can. It says to coat both pieces. The piece you're adding and put it on there. It acts like a contact cement. I just put it on the part that I'm going to be sticking on, and I put a little amount on. You know, not too much, but not too little either.
Yeah.
It's the experience thing. The reason I use this is I found on some models, especially O scale, when using white glue to put the siding on, next day the whole wall would be warped because of the water in the wood glue.
Right.
So I went to using spray adhesive and found it works well because just don't have that problem. If you notice, these wood pieces are cut in 132 basswood, and it can be quite fragile. So you kind of need to think about that when you're dealing with this, but overall, it does provide a good look in the end. I have no other excuse. It also goes rather quickly. Bring it back up for the siding, for the side of the car.
It looks like you've got a reasonable amount of work time with that tacky glue.
Oh, you do. It probably stays liquid or at least workable for a good 4 or 5 minutes. So you get a chance to stuff around. So now we'll stick the end beams on. And you just sit flat at the end. It's going to sit flat on top here and then right under the platform on the end. And I'll use my wood glue for that. I'm left-handed, so my left hand's always in the way. I apologize for that. And this is just a standard emery board. Get that at Walmart. And so we'll just test it on the flat car, and it should be perfect fit after pushing the end off. Okay. There we go. Next week we'll do the roof, add some of the trim, and make up the grab irons. Back to you, Jim.
I appreciate it. Does anybody have any questions for Bill?
Yeah, Bill, this is Greg. When you use the 3M spray, I always get a lot of buildup at the nozzle if I don't constantly clean it. Do you have some way around that?
It's always building up. I don't really bother cleaning it up. I'll just kind of nip off right at the nozzle and then give it a couple shots into the spray booth, and it usually cleans itself up and it's ready to go. It can be a pain. As you can see on the front of the can here, it's just dribbling out the front, but you know.
Yeah, that's what mine ends up looking like too. All right, thanks.
Bill, it didn't seem like you were putting a lot of the spray on there. It was kind of very, very little from what I could tell how long you were spraying it.
Well, I put 3 to 4 coats on, quick coats, but that's seems to work.
Instead of one heavy coat.
Right.
Do you let it dry between the coats a little bit, or just back and forth?
No, I'll show you on a test piece here. So it's just, that's it.
I got it. I got it.
Yeah, that puts enough glue on there, it'll pretty much stick to anything.
Anybody else have any questions? All right, Bill, thank you so very much. Look forward to next week.
You're welcome.
Well, now I'd like to go back again and make sure that everybody on YouTube understands how to be able to win the door prize tonight. If you are a subscriber to our YouTube channel, New Tracks Modeling, then all you have to do is enter something in the chat function so that we can verify that you're actually on the show. If you're not a subscriber, you need to go to our channel, New Tracks Modeling, and subscribe and ring the bell, and then wait at least a minute before you enter something in the chat function. Once you have done that, then we'll recognize that you're there and you're automatically entered in the contest drawing. Then when we announce the winner of the contest later in the show, you'll have to enter something in the chat function, or if you're live on Zoom, just tell us that you're here in order to win the prize. And the prize is the level 3 system of Locofy. So I just want to make sure that everybody understands what it takes to be eligible to win that prize, because it's awfully nice of the company to offer it. Now I'd like to turn to 3 people that are going to talk about a card model that is going to be built on a build along on our show. The first one is Paul Egret, who is the designer of the card model. The card model to be built is a service station. It's going to have a complete interior that you can add to it. And it's really a nice little model. It's available for download by everybody for free on our website, newtracksmodeling.com, as of tonight. And we have a scale chart that indicates how to get the scale that you want downloaded, because the scale that's shown is in HO. So if you want to get it in S scale, you have to enlarge it. If you want it in N scale, you have to decrease it. But there's a scale chart in there to show you how much those percentages are. So Paul designed it, and then 2 great modelers, David Rarick and Father Ron Walters, are going to be building it using their techniques for card modeling. So gentlemen, thank you so much for being here, and I'll turn it over to you all.
Thanks for having us on, Jim.
Well, David, I really do appreciate it. Well, David, you're one of the builders of this model. Tell me a little bit about your techniques and how you're going to build it.
Okay. I noticed that Father Ron uses a totally different technique than I do. So probably should explain them a little bit. I use drawings pretty much as they come off the printer. Okay. Paul does a design. His designs are not really a kit. I like to prefer to call it more or less like a scratch building supplies that you would use to make a model with. The biggest difference is that we use paper and cardboard as opposed to milled siding and laser cut components. I think it's a little bit harder in some respects because you have to do all the cutting yourself with a knife. Whereas if you buy a laser cut kit, pretty much the cutting is already done for you. So it's a little more labor intensive. I think the final appearance is good enough. Let's put it that way. It's not an upfront showroom type model, but if you need something to just fill the space on your layout or act as a background model, it looks really good. And when you assemble it correctly, make it nice and square and neat, it can look pretty effective. So I'll be building mine as I think the way most card models are built, which is just cutting out the paper components and then gluing them together in the form of a structure. Father Ron, are you there?
Yes, I am. I'm using kind of a different approach. As Paul has done, he's put together these this building in print form, and I've followed you, and I've looked at the things that Clever Models have done. I wanted to basically use it as a template and build from scratch with cardboard and some bracing of 1/8 inch square basswood. I wanted to do this because a lot of people start out in scratch building with very little at hand and think they have to go out and buy a lot of stuff to do scratch building. when sometimes they have things already at hand that they can use. So I'm using Paul's drawings as templates and actually starting out with a base cardboard that is a cereal box, and then using index cards for the siding on the building. The advantage that Paul's models have is that they're already painted. And so I'm going to be painting my cardstock. That is one extra step that you and Paul don't do when you use Paul's designs. But I'm actually going to be painting mine, and I'm going to be using an acrylic-based type of craft paint that is in some places as little as 50 cents or $1 a bottle that someone can buy, or you can use the alcohol in India stains as well, like the Hunter line, but you can make your own with 91% isopropyl alcohol and some India ink if you have it around. And that is a good way to begin as well. So that's kind of what I'm going to be doing, is using Paul's drawings as a template and actually starting from scratch with cardboard and index cards, as well as a little basswood bracing.
Well, Paul, what got you into card design and card modeling, Paul?
Oh, I'm just an idiot. What can I tell you? No, but what I want to point out is how easy it is to kit bash and just modify a card kit. Because once you have the first print, you can make as many prints as you want, which is going to give you extra wall sections and anything else that you might need to add a personal touch to it. Now, I want to strongly advise the modelers to watch both Dave and Father Ron and decide on the technique that they want to do, or possibly combine the two and personalize the model. I don't need a whole bunch of people making the same gas station that I did. I want you to personalize it if you can. I think that's more fun and more of a challenge. And what I'll be glad to do is anybody who wants to try and personalize it, just contact me via Facebook or whatever, and I will gladly help you make some different parts, maybe personalize it with some different signage. But I want this to be your model, not my model.
And I can assure you that Paul is really sincere about that, because he has made for me all of the card models that I've used for years now in the articles that I write for both S scale and O scale when I write about card modeling. And he can personalize it. He can do it pretty much any way that you want it. Perfect example of how he worked with me is the model that he designed for me for my motorcycle gang that I wrote about and created for S scale. And Paul designed the clubhouse and got the signage and got all of the information put together and gave me, in effect, a print that I could use to build the motorcycle gang's clubhouse. So you can personalize it. You can make it what you want it to be, the age that you want it. It's all doable, and I can't emphasize enough that you need to contact Paul if you have questions or want to customize it once you've seen it on our website, because he's worked with me and I know he'll work with you. So with that said, David, Father Ron, do you have anything else you'd like to say about this before we actually start building it pretty soon?
Probably the only thing I would mention, Jim, is that for anyone who has not tried card modeling before, is that give it a shot. You might surprise yourself. And the nice thing about it also is that if you're using your home printer, if you make a mistake, all you have to do is reprint the part that you made a mistake on. It's to me a lot more cost effective than if you go and buy a $50 or $60 basswood or laser cut kit. And if you mess something up, what are you going to do? You know, you're basically you're done with it. You know, you got to buy a new kit if you want to make it. So with using the card printed by computer, if you make a mistake or if you want to change it or enlarge it or whatever, you've got all the materials at hand to do it yourself.
I was just going to suggest that if you've never done card modeling, start out with Paul's designs and Dave's methods and go ahead and do it. And if you want more of a challenge, stick around and watch mine. And you can have a chance to challenge yourself to go one step beyond what Paul and David are doing. I'd also like to suggest, Jim, that perhaps you could get Paul to do a build along where he can show how he actually does the designs to begin with using Microsoft Paint, which is it's what you use, right, Paul?
Yes, it is. But unfortunately, I have no idea how to do that and video it. So I'm sorry. I mean, I can go on one-on-one with somebody and I can actually walk them through on the phone to get them to do the basics, but I have absolutely no idea how to put it on video. So in that respect, I'm very sorry.
Well, if we can find somebody that lives close enough, maybe we can get some help for you, Paul, because I know that it's the same as with the 3D card CAD modeling that Earl is teaching us. If we could get you to show us how to design it, I know that's something that you've wanted to do for people for a long time. And if we can get you some help, somebody that lives close to you, to help you with the video part of it, I really think that would be a fantastic thing to put on one of our shows, because I think it would help a lot of modelers and encourage people to at least try card.
If anybody's good with the computer, contact me, please. I'll be glad to try and show you so that you can show someone else. I mean, I can't do it publicly, but like I say, I can do it on a one-on-one, and if you can do it publicly, by all means, please share.
Well, let me ask this then. If we can't find somebody to come over to your house and help you do it, is there anybody out there that would like to learn from Paul how to do it and then come on the show and show all of us how to do it? If you would be interested in doing that, if you'll contact Paul and just let me know that you want to do it, and we'll schedule you on the show. How's that, Paul?
Sounds like a winner.
All right. The other thing I'd like to mention is you don't need a whole lot of tools for this, do you?
Absolutely. You need, as far as the design work, you need nothing. Everything's free. Paint is free. There's plenty of textures that are on the internet that are free. Like I say, everything for the design aspect, it's all free. For the build aspect, you're going to need your typical hobby knives, razor blades, and whatever that you would use for any kit. So what can I tell you?
Well, you know, Dave, Father Ryan, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems to me that if you had a number 11 X-Acto knife and maybe a metal ruler and some white glue, you're in business.
Yes.
That's about all you need.
Pretty much so.
So it's fairly inexpensive to get started in the hobby and actually start adding structures and try your hand at building models. It's fairly easy, simplified way to do it. So gentlemen, thank you so much for wanting to show everybody how to do it on the show. And thank you again for all three of you being here this evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so now I'd like to turn to our featured modeler, who is the expert, and I think the inventor, really, of the product for Locofy, which is their operating system. Peshgar has been on the show before. And welcome back, Chris. I really do appreciate you being here this evening.
Thank you, Jim.
So you're still in India, I see.
Yeah, that's right.
But I appreciate you coming on the show this evening. You want to talk about this Series 3 product that you've come out with?
Yes, sure. Absolutely. Right.
So I'll turn it over to you and let you tell us all about it. What is it all about, and what improvements have you made to the basic Wi-Fi or Locofi system?
Hey, thank you, Jim. Thank you for having me. I really want to thank Jim Keller and the team for giving me this opportunity again. I've been on this show, I would say, a few times, and I'm just glad to be back here. So I'm just gonna share my screen here. All right, Locofi. So most of you are probably familiar with Locofi. If not, we were the winner of 2019 MRR Reader's Choice Awards in the category of Innovation in Non-DCC Electronics and Control Systems. It's an award we won again in 2020. So what does it tell about Locofi? That customers love us. We've got worldwide customers in more than 15 countries, Canada, Mexico, Britain, Germany, France, Switzerland, Finland, Netherlands, and the list is continuously growing. And our customers range from kids to 100-year-olds. And we've appeared and been reviewed multiple times in some of the top magazines in the world. You can read those and the translated scripts on our website under the news section. Not only that, we are a proud member of the NMRA partnership program, where we offer exclusive discounts to NMRA members and donate a part of the sales back into the hobby. So what is Locofi? Simply put, it's an alternative in running trains. There are multitude ways of running trains. For example, DC, DCC, CTC, Blue Rail, Rail Pro, CVP, whatever the method, they all achieve the same purpose, that is running the trains. And Locofi is simply one such method. So what does Locofi offer? Now, before I go into what it offers, I would like to take a step back and imagine an ideal system. For a moment, just try to forget all the DC, DCC, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, radio control, all those things, and just clear your mind and imagine what would you like in an ideal system. Don't worry if it's practical or not, just try to imagine the ideal system. So I'm sure if I was to ask everyone and compare the answers, we'll find that as many designs, and with each imagined system, while it would be different, there would certainly be some basic similarities in all of them. Now, if I was to ask the same question even like 100 years ago, I guess the responses would have been very similar as far as an ideal system is concerned. Now, while many may even want features that do not represent the prototypical NAS, but if we were to focus on the realism and the prototypical NAS, then we'll find many more similarities than differences. Well, now, of course, ideal doesn't exist. For example, if you imagine like a physical throttle with tactile controls that would magically change shape depending on like what locomotive you want to operate, well, that doesn't exist, at least not yet. But we can try to get close to ideal, and the advancement of technology lets us come closer to that reality. Now, this sometimes may require hidden behind the scenes complexity, for example, like DCC. But then technology progresses further, and as it does, you realize that technology has made things simpler behind the scenes as well. And that's where Locofy comes in. Now, going back to what does Locofy offer? So Locofy is that technology that is simpler behind the scenes, I just said. It offers everything in a simplistic way behind the scenes as well as user-friendly. And what's the benefit out of it is low maintenance and more fun. And it is a big deal. So I'm sure many of you with existing like sophisticated systems probably know how true this is. For example, how much maintenance and planning is required, let's say before an op session, for example. Now those starter sets, they exist just to get you tied into an ecosystem, and then from there it's pieces after pieces of complex electronic equipment, modifications, customizations, patchwork of broken things, and you just keep fixing things. And if someone was to look under the table, it would look like a data center with all those blinking lights and a mess of wires. A newcomer would really find it hard to believe, that is that what it takes to run model trains. And that's what pretty much happened to me when I first ventured into model railroading. I always thought, the real model making that like we were seeing a few minutes ago, the real art is got to be the hardest thing in model railroading. I mean, trying to imagine the scene and then realizing it with vibrant colors and textures and all those things. But slowly the realization set in that, the model trains, which are like the center of attraction, but still a rather smaller part of the overall model making scene, seemed to be the most complex aspect. And that blew me away. It just set me on a path to do more research, only to find more pieces and pieces of complex electronic equipment to run like a model railroad. Now, model railroading seemed far and out of touch with the current technology. I guess part of it is because maybe it's a niche hobby. Let's say if it was as popular as like kids' toys with the latest lightsabers and the cool BB-8s remote controlled and all that, or maybe today's smartphones, there would have been so many innovations and the cost would have been dramatically low for everyone to afford easily. Alas, that's not the case. So the niche artists are stuck with what is out there. And that's when I decided to take a plunge and see how hard could it be to simplify things. And with my background in software development and wireless networking, I gave it a try. And as it turned out, it was rather simple to simplify. And the result is that we have our third generation of the Locofy module within a span of 4 years. So basically, when we started out at Locofy, we imagined ideal, and then based on what's available in the latest technology today, we tried to model something close to ideal. Not only that, we also wanted to leverage the existing infrastructure present in every house and in everybody's hands, that is the smartphone. And like we do everything on the smartphone these days, why not run trains? And we thought, like, is it really possible? Well, it turns out smartphone is a computer first and then a phone, really. So it has all the kinds of all kinds of sensors and actuators built right in. No wonder there are all kinds of apps out there. I mean, you name it and it's there. So not that we cannot have a handheld dedicated controller for Locofy as well, something like a proto throttle or something similar. But if you want versatility, flexibility, then nothing beats smartphones. And now we also believe in reuse even before we recycle. So why not use like a spare old laptop, power supply as the power source for the layout? Why not use like an existing home router with available bandwidth for networking? And finally, why not use an existing throttle, that is your smartphone, that you use for everything else in your hand? And for the same reason, we do not actually sell power supplies, home routers, or throttles. And actually, that's all you need to run your model railroad with Locofy. And we made Locofy so generic that it is compatible with most third-party hardware than we trying to sell our own proprietary equipment. Not only that, we also make sure that it's compatible with other custom hardware like the DCC power supplies and all those things. So in simple words, Locofy offers simplicity, which of course has far-reaching benefits that we will see in the following slides. So simplify Wi-Fi Locofy. Simplification through the use of Wi-Fi technology is our motto, and that's how we see how we achieve that. Simplified multi-user, multi-train control. So true multi-user, multi-train control. For example, let's say you have a roster of trains at your club or like say at an off session. Each engineer can pick what trains they want to run from the list of available trains on the dashboard, and the trains remain with him or her, until he or she releases them. Then there can be multiple engineers running multiple trains, and your trains are yours unless you want to release them or you want to transfer them to another engineer. So we'll see in a moment how it's done, but this is what we call the true multi-user, multi-train control. User customizable onboard sound. Now, even so-called the standards fail here. I mean, there's no agreed standard on sound. It's all proprietary. So when we started out with Locofy, we could not imagine a system with no sound. So we often get asked, if there are modules that we sell without sound, and we simply say, please cut off the speaker, or if you don't want the sound, or just load the blank sound, whatever. But we could not imagine a system without sound. That's the key aspect of realism. And so how do we get a system with sound and no proprietariness to it? Yes, we introduced the ability to edit sounds in an easy way based on the open source format that will let you load your own custom sounds. The sounds you might have grown up, hearing as a kid, but not available by a decoder manufacturer or by any other third party out there. Not only that, it opens up the possibilities of new custom sounds that you can define on your own. And it also opens up a vast array of talent, the third party sound engineers out there who can really create wonderful sound files and not be dependent on what's offered by like a decoder manufacturer. So it's pretty open system, open standards based. And lastly, unparalleled prototypical operation, realism. We strive to offer nothing but the most prototypical operation, from the slow start speed to easily customizable accelerating and decelerating momentum, number of notches, ability to set scale speeds, consisting visuals like speedometer. They're just few of the things that aid in realizing the realism. So how does Locofy work? The networking technology lets us offer some unique combinations. Now, before I describe these combinations, I want to make one thing very clear, and that is Locofy does not require any mobile or cell phone service or internet connection for the smartphone. Similarly, the home router or access point that you might want to use does not need to have any internet service either. So let's look at the different combinations and scenarios Locofy can be set up in. So the first one we see here is a direct, the most simplistic, which is the direct Wi-Fi connection from the smartphone to the Locofy module, which is installed in your locomotive. So you go to your Android wireless settings and select the Locofy module you want to connect to. Once connected, launch the app, and you can see the logo on the dashboard. Second, the most common for small layouts would be a smartphone and all the logos connecting to an SSID being broadcast by a home router or access point. You simply connect your smartphone to the access point and then add the logos to the same network. And lastly, which is an extension of the above, point number 2, is a multiple smartphones and multiple locos connecting to a single access point. And basically we have multiple users running multiple trains, and each user knows who's running what trains. It's all visible on the dashboard. And this is why we call it true multi-engineer, multi-train environment. Now, apart from these basic combinations that I just described, there are some other interesting combinations that can be done. For example, let's look at the direct Wi-Fi connection. Now, it may seem like one loco per smartphone, but however, because the connected Locofy module is acting like an access point, you can actually have up to 7 other Locofy modules connect to that first Locofy module and act as its clients. And you have a network of almost 8 locomotives with one phone without the need for a Wi-Fi router. And not only that, you can have other smartphones connect to this network too. The total limit on the number of devices that you can have is going to be about 8, but that's without using an external access point. I mean, the Locofy module by itself, acting as a router, can support up to 8 devices. So it's really good for like really small layouts. Now, for a slightly bigger layout, what you can do is instead of making the Locofy module as the access point, you can actually make your smartphone as a hotspot. And again, you don't need a data connection here like a hotspot that you might be familiar with. But this is the hotspot basically makes your smartphone an access point that all the locos and all the other smartphones can connect to as clients. Now, it will depend on the like how powerful your smartphone is, how the processor can really deal with the connections, and based on that, it will determine the number of devices that can be connected. And of course, let's take another end, which is the extreme super large layouts. We can have multiple Wi-Fi access points, exclusive, dedicated for that, and all having the same SSID, and they form a mesh network. And that just extends your ability to control trains from much farther away. You can walk with your train from one end of the layout to another without losing any connectivity at all. I mean, just imagine, for example, you are at an airport and connected to the airport Wi-Fi and browsing internet, and you go from one terminal to another and you don't lose connectivity. It's very similar to that. And to top it all, you could even do remote operations over the internet. For example, if there was a Locofy engine on a layout across the country or even continent, you could simply operate it from here with like one throttle, with the throttle in my hand. So here's how the dashboard looks like. For example, we see like 4 locomotives here in the dashboard. And the first one is actually a consist. The lead locomotive represents the consist name, and the 3 locomotives are the helpers, and it tells what kind of configuration they are in, reverse or forward. The second one, so the one that has the release button on the right hand side is being managed by this throttle, the engineer 08. And you can see the GTS4 is managed by engineer 06 and UPES 444. And that's not available for you to manage unless that engineer releases the locomotive. The third one, which is the Southern 2148, is available for anyone to start managing. And this is how the dashboard looks like. The top bar, you will see like there are 2 locomotives that I have managed. I clicked on, let's say, Southern also I'm managing, and you can switch between the locomotives with the single swipe of your finger, or you can click on the top menu bar on the locomotive name and it will switch to that screen. So you can quickly switch between trains and quickly access them. And this is how the dashboard looks like. There's a speedometer, a tachometer, horn, bell, lights, start button, emergency stop. And some of these are like new features that we have introduced that I'll be covering in the following slides. All right, so the Locofy journey. So we started out in 2018 with one basic feature, that is we wanted to lay a very solid groundwork, solid foundation, and we wanted to have this key feature, which is the ability to update firmware over the air, also known as OTA. And now with that solid foundation, we can have a scalable system where we can keep adding features, incrementally, like over time. And we have proven it multiple times. We have released multiple updates since then, and each time we added more and more features. Like in 2019, we added customizable app settings. Like for each app, the throttle in your hand, your own phone, you can have some custom settings that, for example, whether you want to have vibration on your throttle, the tactile feedback, or you want to have sounds for your cab sounds or not. That's all very personalized. But then there are other things which are settings of the locomotive itself. And for example, whether you want to like have auto connection, stop loss, or all those kinds of things we'll cover in a moment. So we introduced those, and then towards the end of 2021, we introduced consisting, and Steam is in the works. The new latest module, Locofy 3, we introduced has the hardware to do the Steam sounds. We still haven't released the related firmware update and the sounds themselves, which is still being worked on, but it's there, and it should be out shortly. And going beyond, we plan to have accessory controls, iOS apps, like high current modules for really larger scales. And we also have plans for the Umbrage, which is our power backup solution for like all kinds of dirty track issues. Not only that, you can even use it for like dead rail scenarios and like that. All right. So let's first see what Locofy is not. Definitely not wiring. Then of course, no extra equipment like boosters, computers, programmers, command stations, switches, blocks, detectors, the frog users, reverse loop electronics, etc. There is nothing like that. There is not even any soldering to the tracks required. So no headaches, and not going under the table means you save your head, pun intended. And yes, Locofy is none of that. We don't believe in complexity. More complexity means more points of failure, more error prone, and more maintenance. You fix one thing and another one will break. So you're pretty much fixing things, and you miss out on the real fun. So what Locofy is? So what is Locofy now? Simply put, it's four things. Number one, a power supply that can be DC, DCC, battery, or even AC. And not only that, the power supply can be any voltage from 7 volts to 24 volts. Number two, the Locofy module itself, the hardware. Number three, the Locofy app that is free to download and work with. And number four, the optional Wi-Fi router. Like we covered earlier, that how we can do away without it, without using any external Wi-Fi router for like small layouts, but it's highly recommended for medium to large layouts. And you will really appreciate the benefit. So what does that leave us with? Locofy is power agnostic. The power is separate from control. The direct result of which is that for existing layouts, you don't need a new specific power source, but the existing power source, be it DCC, will work. And Locofy equipped locomotives will run alongside DCC locomotives nicely, or any other layout like DC or any other power layout. So basically, you take your locos anywhere. So let's say if you're a member of a DCC club and you're just starting out maybe, and you want to expand with Locofy, you can simply take your locos to your club and take them to an op session. I've done that myself, and it just runs. So no maintenance, no headache, and more fun. So product updates. Let me briefly take you to our website, where I'll just go over some of the latest the product portfolio that we have as of today. And so here we have our first generation, the DDLLHA. It's a slightly larger module. It supports up to 2 amperes of current, and it comes with diesel sounds only. And it's a very successful product. But then we have a lot of demand for like a smaller module, and that's when we came up with the DDLLHB. It was also diesel sounds based, smaller, very much liked with everyone. But then we went out of stock, and then we had this problem of outsourcing these components and supply chain issues. So we couldn't really make a new run of it. But we changed some of the components, and while we realized that we are doing a big redesign here, why not introduce some new feature? And that's when we came out with DULLHB, and we added hardware for making Steam a possibility. We of course haven't released Steam firmware yet, which is in the works, but the hardware is there, and as soon as the update is out, we can have the Steam sound as well. So it can serve either for diesel or steam. And then we have one other product, which is a 3D printed mount for the Locofy for Athens. So Athens blue boxes, the ready to runs, the older ones, this pretty much all have the same chassis design, and they're one of our most popular locos that Locofy gets installed in. So we thought, why not? And it's kind of hard to physically install inside. Like, you can solder the wires, but then the module itself is kind of hanging in there. So we thought, why not design like a 3D printed that goes over the motor clips in the locomotive, and kind of you can nicely have an installation which just looks nice, and there is no fear of the wires getting tangled and so on. And Amrit is still a product which we are working on, and which we had to we were about to release it, but we had to cut back because of some last minute production issues, and we'll get back working on it after we release the Steam thing. So and I also want to point out we have I highly encourage that you can go to our resources section, FAQs, videos. There is plenty of information out there, and you can go and take a look at forum, what our customers are saying, and maybe help out with some of the other issues, and so on. So going back to the slides. Let's discuss the app updates. So first thing you will notice if you have been using Locofy for some time is the overall look and feel of the app itself. We have now icons for each of those tools, actions, the menus and everything. The layout has been greatly improved. We used to have that little trash icon for a locomotive that needs to be removed from a network. Now we have added to the tool section so that we have more real estate there. And the dashboard also has been improved. We've changed the color of the start button from red to green. It seems some people used to get confused thinking it as like an emergency stop. And then we introduced the emergency stop itself that you can see in the bottom left-hand corner, which is now red. And the indicator light is now orange on the right bottom corner, you can see. And the top menu where you see the names of the locomotives, you see DRG, WGP, 9M. And you can see a little green icon with 3 locomotives that indicates it's a consist, and the blue color also indicates the consist. For example, Southern 2148 is a single locomotive as represented by like a single icon. And let's discuss this. The latest feature that we introduced is the emergency stop. Now, this emergency stop is very unique in that it is pressure sensitive. You can customize the amount of pressure which will actually activate this emergency stop. For example, let's go to the next screen where I show you the app settings, and you can see the last setting is set emergency stop activation pressure. Now, you can customize the pressure by, over here, for example, I've set it to 13 here. So like a slight touch of the emergency stop will not activate it, but you have to really hit it hard to activate it so that, and you can customize this pressure. So, usually emergency situations are like, it's a thing you have to really press hard, like quickly, and so that we know when to actually activate it. So this is one of the cool features. I don't think any like a hand throttle also has it or anything like that. So next on the dashboard, on the top right hand corner, you see the menus. Menus also have icons. Let's go over. So we have this factory reset where in case of any corruption with the firmware for any reason, you can just factory reset. And we have the about menu where we introduced a revert firmware feature. For example, you updated your firmware and for some reason you wanted to go back and see, look at your older firmware, you can just say revert and it will take you back one version. And if you wanted to go beyond that, you keep doing like revert individually. And once you update the firmware again, it will prompt you automatically on the dashboard. You can simply come back to the latest firmware. So it's sometimes handy. So we just thought we'll put it out there. And so this is the config screen. So as you can see here in the menu, the first one is configure. And let's look at that configure screen. Now you can see we have been adding new configuration with each product update. And you must be familiar with the auto reverse lights, light direction, reverse engine direction, and so on. If not, you can watch some of the videos on our website. Let's talk about auto stop and connection loss. Now, this is a really cool feature. I don't think anybody out there in the industry offers this. And it is especially useful when doing wireless Wi-Fi remote control of any sort. And really useful for like dead rail scenarios. For example, you lose connectivity with your handheld smartphone, and for dead rail especially, I mean, there is no way to pull the plug or kind of power it off your engine, and it just keeps going. Now with this feature turned on, the locomotive will detect that it has lost communication and stop itself automatically. And that's really useful feature. You can turn it off if you want it for some unusual scenarios. It might be helpful. We just made it optional here. And then you can see we have scale and units. Now, we used to pretty much show the scale speed for HO. Now you can actually enter your scale like O, G, or any other in between scale like S scale and OO scale or anything like that. You enter it here, and when you do the scale speeds, when you configure the scale speeds will reflect the actual speeds on the speedometer once you have configured the scale. And you can switch between units like MPH, and we have quite a few European customers who wanted like kilometers per hour things. So the next feature we introduced, and the biggest feature, was the consisting itself. There, and you see there is a checkbox, and that also requires you to enable scale speeds. And once you have all the locomotives configured for scale speeds, once you do consisting, they automatically know to run at whatever speed they have to. So without the consisting enabled, you can see there is the start speed step, start step delay, for example. Once you push the throttle up, it takes a little while before your locomotive starts moving. It's for that, to bring more realism there. And then you can have the maximum speed step. It can range from I believe 64 to 256, and you can also have display speed, which can be different from the scale speed actually. And once you enable the scale speeds, then your display speed will actually be the scale speed itself. Then you can configure momentum and inertia and coasting, as you can see. Once you check the box, you'll be prompted to create a speed table. You can have 7 speed step table or 2 speed steps. And the one interesting feature about this speed table is you can see at the top is the track voltage. So we can have up to 8 speed profiles, each configured for a separate track voltage. For example, you have a locomotive that you want to take to your club. And let's say at home you have 12 volts, at your club you have 15 volts. Now, if you have configured scale speeds for both the voltages and you take your locomotive to your club, all you have to do is switch the profile and your locomotive will run at scale speeds at your club. You bring it home, switch the speed profile to 12 volts, and it will run at 12 volts scale speeds. So you configure the speed table here. We have provided automatic calculators here. If you can just time your loop, and you just enter the time and it will calculate the scale speed for you. Or you can just use a commercial speedometer and just straight away enter the scale speed. And there are videos on our website for that demonstrate how exactly to configure the scale speed. Now, once we have the different profile, this is how the configuration screen will look like. All those extra settings of max speed step, display speed, all those are gone. Now the scale speeds will be what gets displayed on your speedometer, and you run your speed trains looking at your speedometer, whatever speed you want to actually run at, and you notch up and down, and it just makes it for extra realism there. All right, so high current modules. So I kind of put this slide in because there was like a high demand we were experiencing lately, that people wanted to have modules that they want to run larger scale locomotives like O scale and G scale. And now that we don't have an integrated module for higher that support higher amperages yet, but we are offering for now until we come out with those modules, like small modifications, like for a small fee. where we expose the PWM and direction, as you can see in the wiring diagram. I mean, you can do it yourself, but then we kind of we really highly recommend, these are like tiny connections. We highly recommend that we do it for you. And then you can attach an external H bridge with these outputs, and those H bridge can support whatever amperage you want. You can have heat sinks for really driving higher loads on those external H bridges, and it's really useful and very easy to configure. We have used this MD13S as an example made by Cytron. It's, I think, a 13 amp H bridge, and the sizes that you see are, I think, comparable to our module. So they can easily fit inside like an O scale or even G scale, and you can get up to 13 amps of motor power using this. And so we just thought this would be a great way to run your model railroads with higher amperages. We don't sell these H bridges, by the way. It's all third-party stuff. So I think this one costs like 10 or 11 bucks, something like that. Moving on. So what does this mean for you? Now, going back to our original question, now you should have some idea of what Locofy has to offer. You can clearly see how it can benefit you. You may also want to ask yourself, if you have an existing model layout, like, do you want more than what you already have? And you may question, if a technology has reached its limits and you want to go and explore something out there that is going to be the future. And will a new technology get me closer to ideal? And you obviously would have to evaluate what will be your costs in moving to a new technology that offers more. And obviously, Locofy, there's not really much of a cost here except for the module itself. There is absolutely no change to your wiring or any other maintenance stuff that we already saw. And obviously, our biggest customer base is those who are in DC right now, or who are starting out like new layouts. DC layouts get the benefit of sound and realistic operation without them having to change all their wiring. And the new layouts, obviously, they're starting out, so there's nothing there to change. But we are seeing like an increasing number of dead rail layouts that are using Locofy. So so here's a little graphic that kind of that shows how all the features and components of Locofy, they kind of fit together to bring you the simplified multi-user, multi-train control, high fidelity sound on board, and unparalleled prototypical operation without any need of any external complex proprietary type of equipment, and most likely utilizing something you already have at your home. So that's pretty much it. Thank you. And I won't be giving any live demos. I don't really have a setup here to give any live demos. However, there are plenty of videos on our website, and that cover, from installation to setup, configuration, all that stuff. And please visit our website at wifi-model-railroad.com and learn more about, go through the resources, the FAQs, and you can read the reviews in the magazines, customer testimonials. There is forum that's slowly getting pretty active, and there's a lot of contributions going on there, and it should all help you to get started, or simply email us. We're always there to help you out. Thank you, and I will take any questions now.
Yes, I thank you so very much for doing this again tonight. I've learned even more than I knew before, and I can't thank you enough for being here. Let me mention one last time, we are having a door prize tonight. Produce is kind enough to donate one of their newest versions of their Locofy as the door prize, and we will award it in a few minutes. To make sure that you're eligible, if you're watching us on YouTube, you need to be a subscriber. If you have not yet subscribed, you need to go to our channel, New Tracks Modeling, and hit the subscribe, and then hit ring the bell, and then wait at least 1 minute and enter some word or some comment in the YouTube chat. Once you have done that, then you'll automatically be eligible to win the prize. And if you'll do it right now, we're getting ready to award the prize shortly, and I want to make sure that everybody has a chance to subscribe to our channel and also to ring the bell and then wait 1 minute before you enter something in the chat function so that we make sure that we enter you to win the prize. Bruce, I really do appreciate you being here this evening. I know I said it, but I first met you back shortly after your company was formed. I think it was in 2018 or 2019, but it was early on. Yes. And it took me a while, frankly, and you remember, you and I had to communicate quite a while before I even understood what you were talking about. But once I did, then I was really impressed with your technology and where you were going. One piece of information for everybody that you may not know, early on, I used to refer to Fuse as a model railroader. He kept correcting me and he said, no, I'm really kind of an inventor of these products and more than I am a modeler. And so that took me a while to understand what he was trying to communicate with me. But he really considers himself as an inventor of this technology. And I do understand what you're saying now.
I mean, I really admire, model railroading. I just love looking at different layouts. I'm like constantly on YouTube, looking at different layouts, and all those clubs and beautiful scenery. I have looked at your work. It's amazing. I mean, I just can't imagine myself being ever, coming close to it. But yeah, I thought I could probably contribute towards this aspect at least, I mean, I really find the artistic aspect of it to be like the more challenging for me and really the real thing. And this is something that I thought, I can really make it really simplified for everyone. I mean, this has to really go a step further than what is out there today. So, and thank you for having me.
Are you still having difficulty getting a supply of parts and all that you need, or have you pretty well solved that now?
For this particular batch of the modules, we are good, but I am pretty sure we will have shortages again, and we'll reinvent, no problem.
May I ask a question?
Sure.
I'm sorry I'm late. I was actually in a CT scan, but I hope I'm not asking a question you've already answered. Your system uses Wi-Fi to communicate with my cell phone app, right? If I make a throttle that is also Wi-Fi based, I should be able to find the decoder by just scanning for the Wi-Fi. What is it? The throttle, the decoder itself, right?
Right. So if you look at the Locofy app, I mean, it has a GUI built into it, and it searches. You can add locos, so it will search all the networks and show you whatever is Locofy. And you can add each of those locomotives to your dashboard. Now, if you were just to have like a hand throttle, you would have to predefine, what locomotive you are going to operate, or you'll have to have some kind of interface built into it so that you can do those kind of operations.
Well, my throttle is Wi-Fi based, and I can search for Wi-Fi broadcasts, right? So if I select it, I should be able to use my tactile controls, is what I'm hoping.
Okay, yeah, it should be possible. I'll have to take a look at what you have, and we can work from there. Sure.
Well, I bought one of your Wi-Fi, excuse me, one of your decoders, and I'm anxious to try it now because I'm just about ready to finish up my throttle and start the programming. But I think I need to talk to you about which CVs are controlled by my tactile controls.
Sure. Well, you won't find any CVs. It will be all GUI based, like sliders and bars. So yeah,
Well,
that's what actually.
All right.
Yeah.
So maybe if it's controlling keyboard functions, I can assign those to a keyboard function.
I can. I mean, our API is pretty open. I mean, of course, we keep changing because we are introducing updates. So if you can keep up with that, I'll give you our current API, and you can match from there. And I've done that for a few of our customers, and I do know there's an Australian guy. He's working on actually integrating it with JMRI itself, and he's gotten quite far ahead. And yeah, people are using APIs to do all kinds of things.
Thank you so much. I look forward to communicating with you. I have your website open. I'll shoot you a note.
Okay, sure. Thanks.
Anyone else have any questions?
Yeah, the emergency stop button. Does that stop every engine that's currently on the throttle? And does it stop any engines that are not on the throttle, any other Wi-Fi engines that are not on that particular throttle?
No, as of now, the emergency stop applies only to that particular locomotive, the dashboard it's appearing on.
Okay. Other thing is, do you ever, like if you're got parts availability on the Wi-Fi Locofi 2, would you go back to it, or is the 3 just going to replace it permanently?
3 is like a superset of what Locofi 2 offers. So we'll just go with Locofi 3 from now on.
Very good. Thanks a lot. And thanks for the presentation.
Thank you. No problem.
Bruce, let me ask you this. What's going to be Locofi 4?
I probably smaller, definitely. And I mean, I can probably tell everything, but it's gonna have better sounds, for example, more fidelity in the sound itself. And as I said, smaller. It will have a much more powerful processor, but it's like way down the road. I don't imagine it being out there like right now, but I mean, functionality wise, and that's the whole paradigm that we are trying to follow, that like people, the modeler shouldn't have to kind of keep changing their decoders again and again. Like most of what we will provide will be software based. Like we'll provide the updates which will be compatible across all the versions of decoders we have out there, of course limited to the hardware. Now yeah, if Locofi introduces some more hardware capabilities, that would be only in that module. But as far as the features and other stuff that goes, that should be applicable to the earlier versions, they will be upgraded automatically.
So then if you did add functionality, then what you're saying is that it would be software based and you could simply upgrade it on your existing Locofi.
Most of it, but there are hardware limitations. For example, Locofi 3, we introduced this ability to have the steam sounds, and that actually required a hardware change. And for example, there may be like people have been asking for more function outputs, especially for larger scale. For example, they want to do remote coupling, uncoupling. They want to have more light features like ditch lights and like smoke units, for example, being activated from Locofi. Those kinds of features which actually require hardware capability, those would also become part of any future module.
Okay.
Yeah, that would be hard. Sure.
Piyush, do you know what Rail Pro is?
Yeah.
Somebody, David Edgerly on YouTube is asking whether you can use your modules with Rail Pro.
No, you cannot use like the throttle or anything like that. But as I said, like Locofy modules can run independently on pretty much any layout. I mean, as long as it has like DCC or DC type of voltage on it, it can run anywhere. But like unless we have like an API talking to their modules, it's not like one controller, one handheld throttle can operate many like Locofy and RailPro together. No, that's not possible today.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Any other questions by anybody? Ken, anybody else on YouTube?
Yeah, I have a question. So this is a complete different system than DCC in that, but if you have an existing system, is it integratable? Because you're not going to change all your engines overnight to put new decoders in and everything else. So how does that function?
That's absolutely correct. And we never intended, anybody going about and changing their layouts. It's so the best we could do for now was, if you want to install the modules in, let's say, newer locomotives, they will run on your DCC layout. But you will have to obviously have smartphone as a throttle for operating the Locofy modules and your regular DCC throttle for. Now, if you want to consist DCC and Locofy together, that integration we have not worked on. I think it should be doable. I do know some modelers are working on that. We release our APIs to those people. So if somebody is willing to do that, it's like you just have to have like a device or something that bridges that gap between talking from Locofy to DCC, the CV codes or the commands, whatever. Locofy is like bi-directional communication. It's totally different. So you may not realize all those features in DCC that you have in Locofy. So, but you can have new locomotives running alongside DCC locomotives nicely, no problem. We run on like several club layouts, which are pretty much DCC, and we just go and do our own independent thing there. So,
thank you.
Yeah.
I had another question. I'm sure you probably already answered this, but I was running around with my head cut off trying to do this drawing business. But Steve Sherrill early on asked, how does the loco get its power to the motor? And is the system both steam and diesel? And he mentions that he is mostly dead rail at this point.
Yeah. So the module basically needs DC power supply or DCC type of power supply. So you can have, like track pickups that supply the power to the module, or you can simply have a battery, and as you mentioned, dead rail, and directly supplying power to the module. And the module has outputs, the motor outputs, which you can feed to the motor, and it's the regular PWM type of output, and that's what drives the motor. And what was the other question?
He asked about steam and diesel. I know I've looked on the site and there isn't much on steam at this point.
Yes, we are working on the firmware. So the module will support steam sound. The hardware is there, and we are working on a firmware update. The moment we release it, basically your module will become either diesel or steam operable. So you can just have whatever sound you want, and you can just run either steam or diesel, whatever you want. So it will be an over-the-air update. You simply have to just download the new app and simply hit the update button, and that's all.
One more question, Ayush. Does the decoder have a capacitive ability to stay alive over dirty track or dead frogs?
Yes, for like very minor disruptions, I mean, we have a small capacitor on there, but you can add, if we are working on this Amrit, which is like a battery, tiny battery backup, but it will sustain for like few minutes. So that should take care of most of the issues. But any of the commercially available so-called keep alive, those supercapacitor based solutions, they should work very nicely. We have customers who have used those for larger dirty track issues, and they work pretty well. So they should be workable too.
Yeah, thank you. I did see the onboard capacitor to assist with dirty track issues. I'm just curious how much time that would give you, but that makes sense. And I look forward to a battery backup. Thank you.
Yeah, sure. That's probably just few milliseconds, not more than that.
So Gish, let me go back and talk to you about sound. So I assume I'm still out of luck with my trolleys.
As far as sounds are concerned, and if you have sounds, we can work on getting you some edited sounds.
You go out with your mic and record, and you upload it into the module.
There is some editing process, obviously, so that the decoder can understand. But it's a relatively straightforward process, and we can help you with that. Not a problem if you have the sounds. Yeah.
As you know, I would need a lot of help.
Yes. No problem. No problem.
All right, let's do the prize award and have you award one of these to one lucky person who's viewing tonight. Ken, can you do that for us?
Okay, let's get on the lighter side. And we have a list, and we're just gonna kind of mix it up a couple times here, so it's not all in order of how I got it. And all I have to do now is click this, and we will get our winner. And it is Steph ATT is on YouTube, I believe. If you are watching, you have to be watching. So can you enter something on the chat and let us know you're still there? It might take 20 seconds, by the way.
And if Steph is there, if you could put up my email on the chat for him,
Sure.
because he needs to send me then an email tonight with his address, mailing address, and telephone number, so that I can forward it to Panish and he can get in touch with him to deliver the product.
Okay, Stefan, ATT, if you've left, you don't win. Has it been 20 seconds?
Yes, it has, and I haven't seen him on there.
Well, I saw him in the beginning.
Yeah, I know. I'm looking now.
Well, should we spin again?
Let's give it 1 second or so here.
All right.
What is his name again? Stefan,
it's Stefan, ATT. And he posted really early today.
Okay. Well, Stefan, I'm so sorry. You got lucky, but you left too soon. So, Ken, why don't you do it again?
One more time. Greg Meeks.
Who is it?
Greg Meeks.
G-R-E-G.
Here, I'll show you the Greg Meeks. I think he's on Zoom. At least I thought he was.
I am.
Well, Greg, welcome and congratulations. I hope that
Thank you.
I hope you can benefit by utilizing this control system of Locofy. You need to send me an email tonight, and Ken, if you could put my email address to him in the chat.
Okay.
So that he has my email. And Greg, I will forward it then to Pranesh, and Pranesh will be in contact with you to arrange the delivery.
All righty. Thank you very much. Looking
And
forward to it.
once you get it and start using it, if you could come back on the show and maybe share with us your experience with it and how you like it and so forth, we'd appreciate that.
All righty.
There you go. It should be on chat.
I have a direct message from you, Ken.
Did you get, you got, okay, thank you.
All
So
right.
Pranesh, you have a winner, Pranesh, and I will forward his contact information to you tonight, and we'll go from there. Thank you so much again, Pranesh, for being here, and thank you for the door prize. I really do appreciate your help with that.
Yeah, my pleasure.
For your support of the program. I do appreciate so much.
No, this is a great program. And I just want to ask one last time, in case I missed any questions, I just want to make sure I answered everybody's question on the chat and maybe YouTube. So if there is any, I would like to.
I don't remember any other questions on YouTube.
Okay, great. Or just send me an email. I mean, our email address is wifi-model-railroad@gmail.com. So
you want to put it in the chat, Pranesh,
yeah,
right quick,
sure.
so that everybody can get it, and we'll go from there. And listen, I do appreciate you putting me in contact with that other guy, that other modeler in India. I finally got his email, thanks to you, and contacted him. So I really appreciate it. I'm looking forward to what he says.
Yeah, I just came across it, and whatever he had modeled seemed very kind of near and dear to me. It's a railway line that actually ends up the place I belong from in India.
Yeah.
It's a narrow gauge line, and he's done a great job of it. If you looked at the YouTube video, he's done pretty good work there.
Oh, I was impressed when I went and saw it, thanks to you, and I do appreciate it. Thank you. Are you going to be in India now permanently? Are you going back to California? What are your plans?
Oh yeah. I'll be back once the kids' school holidays are over. I'll be going back, of course.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, stay safe. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you.
Well, I think that may be the end of the show tonight. If you have not, I will encourage you one last time to go to our YouTube channel, New Tracks Modeling, and subscribe and ring the bell so that you don't miss any of our future shows. And if you'd like to join us on Zoom, then you'll need to go to our website, newtracksmodeling.com, and subscribe there. You'll get an email automatically from the computer to verify your email address. And if you'll reply to that email, then you'll get the login links each week for all of our shows. So thank you so much for coming again. I really do appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed it. Most importantly, I hope you learned something that'll help your modeling. Thank you so very much. And now we will turn to Mr. Clark Cooning, MMR, for the after show. Clark, welcome.
Well, hi, kids. How's everybody doing tonight? That was a interesting show tonight. Lots of computer talk. Big storm up here tonight. So if I all of a sudden am not here, maybe the lightning got me. So just hang on. It's pretty warm up here in beautiful downtown Elliott Lake. It's about, I don't know, close to 90 at points today. But now we're expecting this big thunderstorm. So let's see. I saw Ted on here and I have to ask him because I haven't talked to him for a while. Ted, what's for dinner? Unless he's already gone. Ah, the bum.
Let me mention one thing. Let me mention one thing before I get off of this and go to bed. This is Clark's last night for a while. Poor Clark has to devote his time now to trying to kill the fish out there. And so we're going to miss him doing the after shows for a while. But we need a replacement for Clark. So if anybody is interested, whether you're as funny as Clark or not really doesn't make any difference. But if you would like to do it and work with us and become a member of our team, please let me know. My email is on the chat. Ken put it up there. So if you're interested at all in handling the after show now that Clark is going to go fishing for a while, please let me know. Thank you so much. And Clark, thank you for doing this, and I wish you the best on the lake.
Thanks. Me too. If it's not thundering and lightning like it is tonight.
Hey, Jim.
But thank you.
Yeah.
Hey, one thing you missed was during the ON30 narrow gauge meet that Al Judy had last week in Harrisburg. I'd say there was about 30 New Tracks people there. It was just loaded with New Tracks people.
That's true.
It's funny. It was like a lot of people that I know, but I've never met. It's pretty significant. Which, by the way, Clark, where were you?
I was at home. I was at home.
We just had the Canadian contingent come down, and and it seemed like there was only a few that were missing. So
yeah. Well, don't forget, I'm 8.5 hours before to get to them. Never mind to get down to Pennsylvania.
Ouch.
Well, you missed a good one, Clark. It was a great show.
Yeah, I hear.
I heard there was over 400 people that attended that show.
They had 400, but they had 114 tables.
Yeah.
And,
and compared to some of the shows around, I heard that was just above expectations, that everybody was happy, and that's wonderful. Congratulations.
Ultimations, he sold out everything he brought down, and he was taking orders. We had Mount Albert scale lumber. We had a representative for Fast Tracks at the table. These are all our Canadian guys in our group. Another fellow, Mr. Perry, he has a beautiful display of hand-built locomotives that he's collected from around the world, from those that built them, and they're extremely rare. And he's traced them down, and now they're coming to him. It took him years to find people. Now he's known out there, so he was there, and it was a really good time.
Well, I'll tell you, I know there were a lot of ON30 people there. And if you have not seen it, I would encourage you to go to our YouTube channel for June the 2nd and see the Alan Littlefield interview that we did with Alan about his life in modeling and what he's achieved and the things that he's involved in, and most importantly, the kind of models that he makes. It's a fascinating interview, I think, and if you haven't seen it, you really ought to.
Yeah, he was there too.
Yep, Alan had his display, and he had all these chairs in front. People were sitting down. I spent quite a bit of time with Alan and bumping into him through the show.
Yeah.
So it was a good time.
Yeah, it was a great show. It was good meeting everybody. And it's funny because I didn't know who Alan Littlefield was, but I met him anyway. It was like, okay, cool. This is awesome. So,
well, you hear about him, and you hear people talk about the models that he makes, that he scratch bills and kit bashes and so forth. But it's something else to be able to sit down and actually talk to him.
Yeah, it's pretty fascinating. I bought the last Ultimation slicer. That they had it at the show.
What took you so long?
What took me so long? Time and
We couldn't get it on bolted from the table.
That's right.
No, to be fair, it wasn't just ON30. It was an awful lot of ON3, and some O standard, but it wasn't so much an O standard show, but a few pieces were there.
What did you buy, Larry?
Too much, but I'm happy. I just had to order Chris's kit tonight because I stood around the show. I photographed the Kello station, so I ordered one. But I didn't buy it at the show because I was already past my limit for coming across the border. So
okay.
I think we could have worked around that one.
Larry, what scale do you model?
Primarily ON3. I'm outside here in my backyard because it's such a gorgeous night. It was hot here and we had thunderstorms today, but it's cooled off. There's a beautiful breeze. So I'm just enjoying my waterfalls is behind me, which is part of my outdoor layout.
Yeah.
It's about a 5 foot high. The highest height on it is 5 feet and it's got a tunnel. So I'm just laying the track again in that area because I rebuilt that during shutdown. I couldn't go anywhere the last 2 summers. So about 8 tons of rock taken down, replaced, rebuilt the pond. So I'm having fun out here.
Why don't you do me a favor and send me an email? I'd like to talk to you offline.
Okay.
I really would. I'm serious.
I know. I don't share pictures. Like I can send them there and put them up.
Yeah, I'm really interested in, because I can see part of your thing behind you right now. But ON3 modelers?
ON3 down in the basement, yes.
I'm having trouble finding ON3 model. That's what I'd like to talk to you about.
I see. Well, there was lots there at the show.
Yeah. So anyway, I look forward to hearing from you. Thank you, Larry. I'm sorry, Clark. I'll turn it back over to you.
No. I was gonna say, like, that our whole group is basically ON3 modeling. We got 20 guys. So I don't know why it's hard to find them. Anyway,
it's kind of like it's trying to like finding an S-scale modeler. You know, S-scale seems to be secret. I mean, that's what it seems to stand for. It's hard for me to find an S-scale modeler. Yeah. And lately I can find all kind of ON30 modelers. I mean, they seem to be all over the place, but an ON3 modeler, no, I don't hear from those.
No, there's lots of guys around, and the S-scale modelers, I know a number of S-scale modelers here in Ontario that are fantastic modelers. So I'll have to talk to them and get you in contact with them.
They don't come to our shows. I don't have a way to contact them.
I know an S-scale modeler,
and you know I talked about this with you how many times?
Yeah.
And you can, and Jamie keeps telling me, oh yeah, I know these guys. I'm on their Facebook page. I'm blah blah blah. And I'll talk to him about. Have I heard from him? No.
Well, I didn't tell you I'd talk to anybody on Facebook because I don't do Facebook.
Okay.
I'll post something, Jim. Either Philip or I'll post something in the S-scale groups. No problem. There's a bunch of us. A lot more than you'd imagine.
Yeah, I'm on the narrow gauge side, so
yeah, and
well, now you're talking SN3. Now that's a real scale. Engage.
Amen to that.
Engage.
Yeah, look, I got one of these too.
Yeah.
Great. Are you enjoying it?
Yeah, it's nice.
You still got all your fingers?
Yeah, it took me, I had it almost 24 hours before I cut myself with it.
Nice.
Does it always point north?
Yeah.
That's how you
But if
tell
you put
time,
it in the sun, you know what time it is. It's 1 o'clock.
There you go.
Great minds, Clark.
Yeah.
You can judge it by half a degree.
That's right. But yeah, no, I don't know how many guys are in SN3, but I mean, I was heavily involved in SN3. I've kind of moved out of it now since I've had to change layouts and space, but yeah.
It's big. They got the Sn3 Symposium.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Matter of fact, the SN3 Symposium is going to be in Phoenix, I believe, next year.
Yeah.
Which might just work for me depending on timing.
Are you going to switch scales again?
No. I mean, I still have a ton of SN3 stuff.
Yeah, I had my ON2 at the show. There was quite a bit of ON2 because it was kind of Eastern oriented. There were Colorado engines in ON3 for sale.
Right.
The layouts and the park. I fell in love with Pennsylvania again. And I'm going to do more research on the narrow gauge in Pennsylvania, but we went to the logging museum, the lumber museum, and then the East Broadtop. We had a fantastic tour. It's supposed to be a 1 hour tour, what we paid for, but it stretched out to 2 hours. The guy just kept giving us more and more information. So it was fantastic.
Yeah, well, the EBT is just, it sounds like those guys have just gone absolutely fantastic, gung ho. So
We're hoping to open up the tunnels and go right to Robertsdale. That'll be something.
Are they running now?
I was on the train, but they're using a little diesel, but I got a caboose ride. And number 16 is about ready. Will be ready, I think, in about a month and a half or so. 15 is sitting beside her. It needs some work to go back. And its sister, 14, was in the shops, which is all run by overhead belts. And they had her work over the pit where they she needs driver work. So they're taking the drivers out of her. And they're going to turn them on the original machines that run with the overhead belt system.
I wonder how accurate they're going to be because they're so old. You know, the bearings are probably all shot and the whole bit.
Well, that'll be when you're dropping the wheels out and stuff. You can address all those issues. Yeah. So that may have priority over 15. Number 12 is in the roundhouse and so it's really coming, but just the expansion on the line too. And
yeah, the last time I was
go ahead, Pat.
I was gonna go ahead, Rick.
I was going to say we were there a long time ago, and I think it was just before they were shutting down. But I did get a peek in the engine house and didn't get a ride though. But we could see all the stuff. It was really neat. Thanks, Lord.
We got a tour also. Usually the shop tour is just the old shops, and this time it included the engine house. So we were in the engine house for quite a period of time. I got great shots of it. And,
nice.
They had the overhead belt system all running. They had to run on compressed air because the two boilers are kaput. But they're talking about possibly building another building away from the structures, just for any kind of safety, and having a new boiler eventually. But they ran it on compressed air, and they said all they had to do was go up and oil the bearings and all the sleeves and tighten the belts, and they just fired it up and it all ran. So
amazing.
It is. It's
Piyush, I may have missed you talking about this, but a lot of people hate the smartphone apps to run locomotives. Is there any thought of making a hardware-based controller?
Yeah, absolutely. We can actually we can have a hardware controller. I mean, it's just the commands that you send from it. So it's just that we find software-based controller is very flexible and versatile. I mean, it's all software-based, and today's smartphones, I mean, it may not have like a knob on it, but really it has all the tactile feedback and controls. I mean, once you use our app, I mean, don't compare our app to like an engine driver or something else that you have used for DCC before. Once you use our app, you will see the difference. I mean, you will just not feel like really going for a handheld throttle really. But if you really do want, we do have it as part of one of our future plans to have a handheld controller. I'm not really gonna disclose everything about the design of it, but I do have some ideas where we will kind of have a combination of like a screen and a handheld throttle, so that the screen can be used to configure a lot of things. You can check the speeds on the. So we really like the GUI, the rich graphical user interface, rather than just some text-based, just numbers or cryptic kind of things. So we'll have something eventually, definitely.
Yeah, I have one of those ESU mobile controllers that have the screen, but it also has 4 buttons on the side that you can configure for either speed or direction, and it has a knob. Those things are really good.
Yeah, so the ESU thing, as far as I know, I haven't really seen it, but as far as I know, it is actually based off of an Android device.
Yes.
It is actually based off of Android device. And Personally, it's my personal choice. I just do not like the idea of a knob running a train, really. I mean, knobs is not how you run trains. So, I mean, if somebody said, proto throttle, something like that, I really like that. But then we've had like some preliminary talks. They they will obviously not adapt to like our protocol or our commands, but they have an open hardware design, and which is something really great about them. And we can easily adapt to that design and just have Locofy commands go from proto throttle to any engine. It should be not that hard, really.
Yeah, for somebody technically knowledgeable, it's not that hard.
It's really simple, really. But yeah, I mean, I mean, I do not. I mean, we are short on resources for doing like everything at the same time, so we are taking it step by step. But we will eventually get there. That's the plan. Yeah.
Ken, if you're interested, the Model Railroad Hobbyist Forum has a design for a throttle using an ESP32. Jeff Bunza published, and it uses basically that and a screen, and you don't need the screen except to configure and select locomotives. The rest of it can have notching, braking, lights, all kinds of things that you can imagine, right? It could be very configurable.
Right, Neil, I have actually even seen your, I think you also have published some kind of hardware design for like steam locomotives, and I've seen those and I really like that. We'll, just to give you a hint, we'll try to get something like that on the smartphone at least for now.
Very nice. Phil Taylor too is working on that with me.
Okay.
Neil, where did you say I could read about that?
It's the Model Railroad Hobbyist Forum, MRH, right?
And then look under what?
A simple Wi-Fi throttle that you can build, right?
Well, maybe you could build.
Well, it's just soldering. It really isn't that hard. All the components are very straightforward to use, and I use the plugins that you might use for a breadboard rather than trying to solder to that ESP32. I just put it into a breadboard and then put the whole thing into a box. Pretty simple. But I mean, at some point, hopefully we can produce these in a way that you could purchase either the components or we can help you out, because I really think it's fantastic. And we want to promote this idea that running a locomotive like a locomotive is a lot of fun. I don't want to see the speed, right? I want to be able to notch or use my Johnson bar for a steam locomotive. My throttle is a throttle, but they're different for diesel locomotives, and I honestly don't know anything about them except for my S-scale stuff, and I just bought those because they're cool. I'll post a link.
Okay, good, thanks. That's all for me. Anybody else?
Sorry, you guys, I was busy on a phone call. So talk amongst yourselves. I'll be back in a minute.
I've never stuck around for the after show, so I'm always curious what happens. So is this it? We all just talk story?
Just
This sounds like another call you and I are on, Neil.
Well, I am at work and I got to be quiet. Use my indoor voice here, right?
Oh, yeah, that's true.
So despite my background, I'm actually in a little cubicle.
Well, it sounds like it's time to start saying bye to YouTube. Is somebody here that can control it?
I don't know.